Well, here we are on the cusp of August, right at the end of July. We'll go and see what treasures I can find for you today. Looking out to the estuary, the sand dunes of Braunton Burrows and the sea beyond, Saunton Sands. So we'll go up this way. I said last time we would look at some of the later flowering hydrangeas, but what we're looking at the moment is a very, very wide-spreading ginkgo. I got this, I think, in Wisley about at least 20 years ago, and it's made an enormous wide-spreading tree which I have to trim every so often. But peeking out of it is Hydrangea paniculata vanille fraise, vanilla strawberry, and at the moment it's in the vanilla stage because it eventually becomes strawberry-like in colour when the flowers are maturing, so you get a sort of mixture of pinky red and white. Not quite finished with the shrubby horse chestnuts. This is the last to flower. Aesculus parviflora, small flowers. But they may be small, but my goodness, they make up for it in sheer numbers. Not as powerfully scented as the Californian horse chestnut, which must beat them all, but there is definitely a scent wafting in the air. This comes from the southern United States, Georgia and Alabama, where it suckers away. I think they call it the bottle brush buckeye there. Panning round from the bottle brush buckeye, there's another scent in the air, and I noticed that this myrtle from South America is flowering and has a very powerful scent, and in fact if you crush the leaves they're also a lemon type scent. This has a name which used to have a name which reflected the native name for the tree called Temu, or an approximation of that, Temu varieties, but it's for some reason known as Blepharocalyx cruikshankii, which you have to take your false teeth out for before you say it. I always find it amusing, if you're a doctor, to think of this as an eye-watering name, because if you've got blepharitis, you've got inflammation of the eyelids. So it almost sounds like you've got some sort of eye problem when you say Blepharocalyx. Looking at the small temple, you see the large Magnolia delavei on the left, but on the right we've got the fantastic flowering shrub Hoheria sextilosa. People immediately go up to it and sniff it, and it doesn't really smell that much, except as I'm taking this video, it has got quite a strong smell, which I hadn't actually noticed before. So I shall encourage people to sniff it in future. Coming away from the Hoheria and coming up to Crocosmia Lady Hamilton. Attractive lady. Caught the eye of Lord Nelson, of course, but I haven't found a Crocosmia Lord Nelson. Somebody ought to just name one and then we can put them together. Anyway, next to it is this rather weird paniculata hydrangea called Great Star. And it has these very large sticky outy sepals, petals of the sterile flowers and the little bunch of sterile flowers inside. Great Star. I believe it's got a rather more authenticated name, but Great Star will do. Can form quite a big bush, and the flowers are only just getting going, really. They can get very big. I can't pass this way without admiring Fuchsia Lady Bacon. She's elegant, drooping, and has a touch of class about her, as one would expect. Lady Bacon, and she also makes a very good standard shrub, which has, as a lot of Magellanica fuchsias do, a nice trunk, peeling bark. Coming past the round temple and underneath the albizia tree, there is a gorgeous scent wafting in the air. What can it be? I ask myself, as you are probably asking yourselves, and here it is. It can be Rhododendron auriculatum, magnificent late flowering shrub with these gorgeous white scented flowers. Rhododendron auriculatum. So there we are, have a sniff. Wonderful. At its feet are various hydrangeas. Hydrangea serrata over there is known as the tea hydrangea. Most serrata varieties can be leaf dried and used as a kind of tea of heaven. I haven't actually tried it myself. Here we have a weird arching scrambler from China, extremely vigorous, and I keep having to prune it back. So why I planted it is a slight mystery to me. However, it does have quite attractive seeds. And when it arches out, it can be quite a feature if it hasn't strangled all the plants in its way. It takes its name from the three-winged seeds. Talking of black-stemmed hydrangeas, which we weren't, but we were last video. Here is Zorro, a big grower, and today it seems to have a few pink flowers in amongst all the blue ones, which is a bit odd, but it is a very substantial plant. with very, very black stems. A new bush of a hydrangea with black stems and bright white flowers, which does stand out quite well in this rather shady spot. This is the Black Steel series with its black stems, and it's called Black Steel White Ball. Another hydrangea I'd like you to look at. We have this rather zany Japanese Hydrangea involucrata, Yokudanka. It's got a sort of an explosion of flowers. Coming past Miscanthus cosmopolitan, I just want to show you a really good paniculata hydrangea called Limelight. You can see it's got a slightly lime green tinge to the flowers, and the good thing about these paniculators is they can be chopped back, kept under bounds. Coming into the apple orchard where the bees are, we come across the back of a small flowering tree called Markia chinensis, with the sort of ash-like leaves and white pea-like flowers. But the most amazing thing to my mind of this tree is in the spring, when the leaves are unfurling, they're a sort of pale blue, grey, silky colour, and I thought they were flowering to start with when I first saw this tree, but on closer inspection it was actually the leaves unfurling. So if you want to plant a small to medium-sized tree as a specimen, you could go for this Markia. Sharing the apple trees with the Markia are the bees, and I thought we'd just have a quick look at them. They are very active at the moment, and the two hives, as you can see, have got, well, the central one has got 3 extra layers been put on because they've been producing so much honey. These extra layers are for them to create more combs with more honey, and they're called supers. I'm not going to get much closer because I shall be in their flight path. They come out of the hive and they shoot up like jets off an aircraft carrier, and you don't want to be in the way of that, and if you're not, then they leave you alone. But it's lovely to have bees in the garden, and there's so many of them, including the wild ones and bumblebees and so on. It's just great. We come down and have a look at the sort of exotic idea of the Victorian garden, but before we do that, I just want to show you the fantastically intricate bark of the black walnut, which I planted in 1982. It really is the most wonderful bark and a very straight trunk. Anyway, coming around there, we see the bananas in their full glory. Musa Basjo, and in amongst them the large flowers of Romnea coulteri, the giant Californian poppy. And I think it makes a very nice combination. Well, we'll make our way back home now from the Victorian garden.